Alright, looks like we got the rotors here. It's like Christmas morning. Let's go ahead and open them up. Oh, yep. Alright, drilled and slotted rotors are the fronts, obviously. Go ahead and open up the rears. Wilwood disc brakes. Looks like we got a sticker here. And assembly instructions. As you can see, it is an original equipment upgrade rotor kit. There are the dimensions of the rotors right there. Okay, here are the rears. Actually look nice on the back there on the Corvette. Alright, so we got the rotors here. Now we are just waiting on the front pads to arrive. The rear ones arrived. Then we should be good to go ahead and put them on the car. Okay, a couple days later, we got the front pads in right here and the jack pucks that we needed, so we can go ahead, move the car into the garage and get started. So we're gonna take one of these pucks and find under here where it goes. It's right under here. So we're gonna go ahead and slide it in and turn it. Alright, so got the puck in. Now we can go ahead and take the jack and lift it up. So before we jack it up, we're gonna go ahead and loosen the lug nuts just a little bit, 3/4 inch. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, tires off the ground. Now let's go ahead and take off these lug nuts. So what we're going to do here is take off the caliper bracket. There's a bolt here and a bolt on the bottom down here, and then that way we'll be able to take the whole thing off and get the rotor off and swap out the pads too. So we got the caliper off there. Now we can go ahead and take off the rotor here and put the new one on and get the pads in there. We're probably gonna have to push back the piston a bit, but we'll see when we get there. So here's the difference in the pad width. As you can see, not much life, if any, at all on this one, and a whole bunch on the new one here. We got a C-clamp here, and we put the brake pad on there and use the C-clamp to push the piston back in. So now we can go ahead and get the rotor in and put the new pads in, and we should be good for this side. We got the rotor on here, and the arrow is supposed to point towards the back, so the slots are angled like this. And of course we got the caliper on. Now we can go ahead and put the wheel back on the side and do the other side. Alright, so the front is pretty much the same. There's a bolt here and a bolt on the bottom down there as well, as you can see. So we just got to take those two off and we can do the same procedure. Alright, Got the front left done and the rear left, so should be good to do the other side, and then we will be done so we can go ahead and bed in the rotors and the pads. Okay, we're on the GoPro now because my other camera died, but I gotta turn the car around so we can go ahead and do the other side. So pump the brakes here. Yeah, got brake pedal here, so now let's go ahead and turn the car around. Okay, now that we're on the GoPro, we're just gonna go ahead and set it up and get a time lapse, and then after that we'll check out this brake here, see why it's all scored up. Alright, the brakes are on, looking good. Now we gotta go bed in the pads in the rotors. Let's check out this brake here. So, as you can see, the centers here were not painted, so they got rusty. But, let's see, not this pad. This pad right here has absolutely no life in it. As you can see with this one, it at least has this center line here. This one does not. It is just bare metal here on the bottom, which is where it was rubbing on the rotor, so that's why I got all scored up, obviously. But it's good to see what type of carnage goes on under there to see what actually caused this scoring on the rotor. But let's go ahead and get to the drive. All right, let's pump the brakes a couple of times here. All right. Pump the brakes some more here. Okay, so it says to get some heat in the brakes here, so we're gonna go ahead, drive around in the city real quick, get some heat in them, and then it says to make about 8 to 10 hard stops from 55 to 65 mile an hour. All the way down to 25 mile an hour. Let's go ahead and get the brakes warmed up a bit, and then we'll hit the highway, get some hard stops in, see how the brakes feel. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a twisty route. So it says if you get on the brakes for about 3 seconds, let them cool off for 3 seconds, and they say you can do that between 3 to 5 seconds. So if you do it for 5 seconds, then you double that, get off the brakes for about 10 seconds. So let's go ahead and make another decent stop here to little bit of a roll. Feels good to be back in the Corvette. I was down for about a week until I got the parts and was able to install the brakes, but it definitely feels good to be back. Let's get another stop in here real quick. So we got some heat in them, no squealing so far. Of course, I'm not going to have enough driving done to see how much brake dust they produce, but I know my old brakes would squeal a little bit, and I know that my old brakes would squeal a little bit, but I don't really mind that too much. So again, we are going to the bank. Seems like I've been going to the bank a lot. After that, we should be able to get some good stops on the highway coming down from 65, 55 mile an hour. Be interesting to see how well these brakes stop with the drilled and slotted rotors and a little bit of a more aggressive pad than I had on there. I'm pretty excited to see how they are. Haven't had a real performance upgrade for the Corvette in a while, so brakes are definitely a good upgrade, just like your tires. Your brakes, one of the more important moving parts to the vehicle. Alright, here at the bank real quick. Everything looks good here on the rotors. Look for any marks that the pads could have made. Brakes are good to go, so I think we could make a couple stops on the highway and see how the brakes feel. Alright, we are good to go. Get up to about 65 mile an hour here, and we'll be able to make a quick stop on the exit ramp. Here we go. Those have a real nice feel. Of course, didn't get the pedal all the way to the floor. Of course, there's no more noise coming from the brake. That's a plus, that's for sure. Get up to speed and get on the brakes. So there, I definitely have a lot more pedal travel left to go. So yeah, I can definitely say that these will stop pretty quickly. For a street setup, they definitely have a lot better feel than the stock setup. Like I said earlier, a little bit more aggressive pad. And the feedback from the pedal feels a lot better. The pads I had on there, looks like I had Bosch pads at all four corners. I thought they just replaced the one rear brake pad that went bad because the caliper bolt fell out, but it looks like I had Bosch all around. And then the rotors, of course, they're just normal rotors, what came on the car, original equipment. So with these brakes, they definitely feel a lot better With the stock ones, your brake pedal would kind of just drop, and the further you went down, it didn't really feel like you were stopping any harder. It just kind of felt like you put your foot on the brake and that's it. But with these, you put your foot on the brake, the further you go down, and the harder you stop, the harder they bite. So that's a good feel to have. They don't bite too hard up top, so it's a linear feel. And the brake pads on their website said that they're about kind of a high bite, but it was a highly moderate, I think they said like that. Now we're gonna cruise to let the brakes cool down a bit. Don't want to sit too long with the brakes engaged to hold the vehicle in place, so we're gonna try and get on the highway here and cruise for a little bit. Then we'll be able to get home and let the brakes obviously cool down overnight, and they should be pretty good to go. Of course, there's a little bit more bedding in that I need to do, but I can finish that up tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day, so before we end off the video, I want to give my first impressions of the brakes. Of course, I haven't had a lot of driving miles on them, and still have to do a little bit more bedding in of the pads and the rotors, but I definitely can say that the feel is definitely a lot more linear as you put your foot further down. The brakes bite harder. The initial bite is moderate. It's not gonna bite super hard. Of course, I haven't bled the brakes or anything, but shouldn't have gotten any air in the system, so I don't think that should be too much of a factor, but I will get the brakes bled. But as I was saying, the initial bite isn't super hard, it's moderate, but like I said, as you put your foot further down, the brakes do grab harder and harder. So compared to the stock brakes, this is a non-Z51 car. This brake upgrade definitely is better than what came on the car. Like I said, the slotted and drilled rotors should help keep the brakes a bit cooler, and the slotting helps scrub the brakes, keep them good, ready to go. And then of course the pads are a little bit more aggressive than what I had on there. So stops better, definitely a good upgrade for the Corvette, and they look a lot better too, so that's a bonus. But that is going to be the end of this video. The new parts for the Corvette will be coming soon, just got to order them, but gonna be ordering them. Should change the look of the car, I'll give you that hint. But if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also share it to your friends and those who may enjoy it or find it useful. And of course, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Go down there, hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 1,000. We should be there shortly, but that is gonna do it. So with all that being said, join the club, and I'll see you in the next one.